Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I want to look at a Doom replay. This is Nightfall, the offlaner for BetBoom, one of the best players in the world. And honestly, have been thinking for a long time, why don't people buy aura items on Doom? They have all of this net worth, and yet they're investing it in BKB and playing for the late game. Why not go a build that is early game oriented? And the logic against going early items is Doom scales incredibly well. He has very good talents, level 20 in particular, 35 seconds off of Doom cooldown. I mean, that is just insane. Even at level 25, you get 2.1% Infernal Blade damage, another great late game talent, or Doom applies break depending on the matchups. Both are fantastic depending on the game. And so this hero scales extremely well going an Octarine Midas based build. However, Nightfall goes Greaves this game. He didn't go further than that, he ended up going more towards the scaling build afterwards, but I'd like to talk about why I think Guardian Greaves can be great. This is also one of the best Guardian Greaves games possible, so I think his build is optimized, and more Doom players need to think about this. In fact, more players need to think about this type of gameplay in general, so let's get into it. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the Game Leap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the Game Leap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below, I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. So there's two main things I want to talk about in the laning stage that I think Nightfall does particularly well. First is item build, and second is skill build. Obviously, his gameplay is just as important, if not more important, definitely more important. But overall, we're going to see him pick up a kill on the Treant. Okay, nothing crazy here. It's the level 3 Doom timing, which is 2 points in Scorched Earth, making the damage per second go from 20 to 35. They're going to pick up this kill, but I would like to note that he has boots, and then from there, he's actually going to pick up a second set of Tangos against the Ursa, because he's in a hard lane, which I like, and then he picks up Windlace. A lot of players will not pick up Windlace, and I think it's a major mistake when you're against heroes like Ursa, or Slark, or Monkey King, who pressure you very well early on. Against these heroes, you want to pick up Boots Windlace so you can cut waves very effectively and avoid the Treant in this case when you are trying to drag waves. Or you can simply kite and fight by kiting, right? Because you can just do damage with Scorched Earth. Now in this engagement here, he's going to hit a nice level 4. The Phoenix does a great job of harassing down the Ursa, and he's going to use the Windlace plus level 4 to actually pressure out the Ursa momentarily and pick up a kill. You can actually see he's kind of baiting in the Ursa here and trying to kill this range creep as fast as he can. He's actually auto-attacking it knowing Scorched Earth is coming up, and he's going to hit Infernal Blade after one more creep. That one more creep dies right now. He actually kites the Ursa, as we talked about, with the Boots Windlace, doing damage strictly with the Scorched Earth until Infernal Blade comes up. Ursa commits his overpower charges on the Phoenix, which unfortunately kills the Phoenix, but he's able to pick up a return kill, which is so nice. 3/4 of a level is insane. And now he's going to push towards level 5, which is going to be his third point of Scorched Earth, and honestly, laning against Ursa with a Phoenix at this point with a high level is actually very doable. Now I will say with Doom, I'm actually pretty surprised that he needed this much mana. I think if you take a point in Infernal Blade, going the mana boots before the Midas is good. In fact, he probably should have done that. I was actually hating on this recently. I was watching a player who won mana boots before Midas, and I think it's good if you eat the creep, the lightning small camp creep, that allows you to zap people off cooldown. Then I really like the mana boots, but otherwise I'm kind of a hater. However, if you skill Infernal Blade and the lane is going well, you will need the mana, and so you can pick up mana boots before going for Midas. Otherwise, even with this Greaves build, I really do like the Midas rush, only because I think Doom is a hero that really scales well, getting into level 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, there's certain heroes that just kind of hit 6, like Pango, 6, 7, 8, and then they're ready to go. You know what I mean? They just want to skirmish. Doom isn't necessarily like that. Long cooldowns on Scorched Earth, and Doom, it's just not that type of hero. Now in this game, I like the fact that he doesn't skill Doom. I will admit, skilling Doom can be good against Ursa. You can obviously catch him off guard and go for even a solo kill. Definitely a kill with a +1. But yeah, the second point in Doom, even third point in Doom here, makes sense for the game. He felt that the match was going to slow down, and he could just play for timings. That's why he would rush Midas and not maxed out Scorched Earth. So the build certainly makes sense. From there, he's going to pick up mana boots, which feels great. The hero certainly needs mana boots going into the mid game, and it prevents you from having to spam by clarities, and in this case, it builds into Guardian Greaves, which is fantastic. And now with maxed out Doom coming into level 9, you will have 200 extra GPM per minute. With Midas, you're going to have an extra 360 GPM per minute, approximately. I guess Midas isn't exactly that. Okay, yeah, that I was way overhyping it. Let's say it's more like 300. GPM per minute. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, he's just going to farm up the bottom lane. And now let's move and talk about the Greaves timing. So now as he hits his mech timing, he's going to ping for his team to fight. And I think this is the most important thing to do if you're going to go this build. If you're going the BKB rush build, you should actually put very little emphasis on looking for skirmishes, unless it's a very clear pickoff, right? It's just a nice cheeky little kill. However, in this game with mech, you have a much earlier timing, right? Mech is way less than half the price of BKB, and so you want to get your team to get active around this timing. We'll even see here, he's going to get Overgrowth, but now he can pop the Doom, pop the Scorched Earth, pop the Infernal Blade, and he's got a mech coming, so he's way tankier than he usually would be. And of course, if enemies who TP go on this clockwork in a moment, he'll have the mech to heal them both up, which could happen shortly. But yeah, I have no idea why Ursa went on Doom like that. But he's gonna take the fight, pop the mech, and he's healed up. So instantly, Nightfall went from jungling the jungle, because he literally was jungling Dire Jungle. I'm actually gonna go back and show you guys quickly. He was jungling Dire Jungle, right? He's gonna shift to bottom, and he starts dragging these camps together with Scorched Earth to farm. He leaves bottom because the Ursa matchup is just not that good. He maybe could try to Doom the Ursa, but it's hard. If he gets Enrage off, you're not gonna kill him, and honestly, yeah, it's just difficult. This hero is very mobile, and Doom has a long cast animation, so it's hard to catch people off guard, at least at high level. Yeah, so he just ends up jungling, but immediately as he hits this mech, they're gonna get the spot play and snowball their lead. Now let's talk about why it's a good Greaves game. Honestly, the main reason why I think Greaves is good is when it's against physical damage and when it gives you a dispel. Greaves does not AoE dispel, contrary to popular belief, it only dispels the user. However, that's fine this game. It dispels Tree and Ulti, Ember Spirit Chains, Skywrath Slow and Skywrath Silence, and Slaughter Amp. Literally 4 of the heroes on the enemy team have something to dispel, even technically Ursa Slow, which is actually a bigger deal than you might think for kiting the Ursa, and so this is a game where it's just fantastic to have a dispel. And if you aren't familiar with why Greaves is particularly good against physical damage, I just want to quickly read the item for anyone who isn't familiar. It has an active, which is just better mech, that's nothing crazy, but then the passive is really what's significant here. It gives 2.5 HP regen and 3 armor to all allied heroes in a very large radius, basically the entire screen radius. So it's just flat that. Then if an allied hero falls below 25 health, 25% health, a quarter of their health, they then get 18.5 HP regen and 10 armor, right? So a ton of armor, 10 armor in the early game, right? Because, I mean, this is 15 minutes in, he has completed Greaves. 10 armor is a ton. 18 HP regen is a ton, right? That is like 3 rings of health. You know what I mean? Crazy stuff. So when they do go below that HP point, it's truly going to keep them alive against these sort of team comps when they have the Greaves passive active. Honestly, here we're going to see a nasty play from Nightfall. This is some really heads up stuff. 2 of his teammates are dead. However, he's got the Greaves, he's got Doom, and he sees that his teammates are in the area. The Phoenix and the Pango are here. So he actually makes this crazy play with Tumblr's Toy where the Ember is TPing out, he tumblers towards him, check if the TP is going to be cancelable or not, and yeah, he gets off the Doom, follows it up with Infernal Blade, and they take out the Ember Spirit. I mean, that was just insanely high skill, and he has the Greaves to heal up his team as well. And they actually end up super snowballing the fight off this. They end up catching Resolution on his Slaughter, they catch the Skywrath Mage, and finally they end up catching the Treant. So one good decision, and one pop of the Greaves, they're all full HP, and they win a massive team fight. Now at this point in the game, 19 minutes in, this is where this build really comes online. Level 14 is honestly one of the biggest spikes in the game on this hero because it's when you have the maxed out Infernal Blade. And this is key because it brings Infernal Blade down to a 4-second cooldown, meaning you can basically spam it on people. I mean, the burn duration is 100% uptime and it's 4% max HP as damage per second. I mean, that's crazy, right? 2 hits of this are going to do 32% of your max health. Way more than that because it also does a base burn of 50 damage per second, adding up to, 400 damage per second. So it's a crazy spell. Infernal Blade does a heinous amount of damage, which is why I definitely like these Greaves a lot, right? It allows you to stay on top of people and actually hit them with a lot of Infernal Blades. It makes you very tanky in relation to some of the other builds that people go on this hero. So yeah, it's just better for Infernal Blade. He gets a Doom off onto the Ursa in the mid lane, and then from there he's going to pop his Greaves, keeping his team alive. I like the fact that he uses them pretty freely. Even though it's not dispelling anything here, I think that's okay, only because of the fact that he now has BKB, meaning he doesn't need the Greaves to charge in. If you do rush Greaves, you kind of need to save them to dispel something so that when you frontline and when you initiate, you don't instantly get bursted to the first major disable. Yeah, but this teamfight keeps breaking out. He does get stunned, but he has BKB, so he knows he's safe. He hits Inferno Blade into a 2-man War Stomp. Really nice War Stomp. From there, still not popping BKB. He definitely doesn't have to here. Honestly, I could have even seen him not going BKB this game. I feel like it's a game where you could just justify going like, I don't know, something like just Octarine Rush or Crimson Guard. I don't know. There's some different cool builds he could have went. Maybe even a Shiva's. But the BKB is very safe, right? It prevents him from getting bursted by something like a Skywrath jump, or at the end of the day, you can't dispel everything. But in this case, the Ursa was dead off the initial Doom, and they end up taking a really huge fight. His team is getting healed up a lot by even just a bit of HP regen from his aura goes a long way, and they're able to win the fight on the back end. From there, Nightfall returns to farming. Like, honestly, I think people just don't farm enough. It's crazy how little people farm. They just hit no creeps. Right after that mid-fight ended, boom, books it to the top wave. Map control and just a ton of gold, right? It's key. It's very key to understand this. He ends up picking up a Blink next and then killing himself in the Roshan pit. Just kidding. He's actually so tanky. BKB up in 2. Nice use onto the Ursa. That's going to keep him alive. He'll probably pop his BKB to try to survive. Okay. Little bit preemptive from Nightfall to run in there without the BKB and without the Greaves. Otherwise, I actually think it could have been a really great bait. He just didn't want to let the enemy team get Roshan, which is kind of understandable. But yeah, then immediately back to farming. Once you hit level 10, honestly, you just farm a lot on this hero. Also, he goes for the Shivas. He had Shard queued up, but he changed his mind, which I kind of understand. This is just such a great Shivas game, once again, for armor purposes. Really shutting down the Slaughter and the Ursa combination of heroes. Now, from here on out, honestly, Doom gameplay is about the same. You're looking for any opportunity you can find to doom the enemy's main DPS hero. In this game, that is naturally going to be the Battle Fury scaling Ursa, and so he has to find any opportunity to catch this guy. This Ursa does not have a Linkens, and so he's a very susceptible target to doom as long as he has a ward. And so what I really like about Nightfall's gameplay is what a lot of 3k, 4k, 5k MMR players struggle with, and of course, everyone below that as well, no offense. But yeah, like, for instance here, this doesn't look like much of an engagement most people would look for. A clock's dead, it's on the enemy side of the map, they're kind of grouped up, like, literally it's all 5 of their heroes. But he runs towards them with 3 heroes. Why in the world would you ever do that? Because you don't expect the enemy team to know, right? If you have the ward there still, there's a good chance the enemy team does not know. They're going to split up, and they're not going to hold hands infinitely. Most of them are going to run to the mid lane. Ember, in this case, ends up botsing bottom, and Ursa ends up hitting the Tricam. He knows that they're going to leave. He considers getting a 2-man War Stomp onto the supports, but he sees an opportunity to find the Ursa on the back of this Observer Ward Vision, and with the Shard, he doesn't have to actually go for a Ward Stomp, and they use the Shard Stun, or he uses the Shard Stun to get off the Doom into the Ward Stomp, and Ursa dies. It's a beautiful jump. From there, with only 3 heroes, they kill off both the supports, the Ursa, and they can kick the Ember out of top as well, as he remnanted back in. It's just such a great play. Almost no players, including most high MMR players, would make that play there, and it's just a shame because people need to know how valuable Vision is. They need to understand that players split up, and Vision is very, very important to play around, even sometimes with numbers disadvantages. Vision is the name of the game. And really the crazy thing about Doom is that no matter what build you go, you're just going to scale into the late game, right? He's got double BKB Refresher at this point, 35-second cooldown off of Doom, which isn't that useful with Refresher, but it's still good. In this team fight here, he's going to pop his Doom. Unfortunately, the Ember had a Lincoln Sphere, so that was certainly not the best decision, but he can pop his Greaves at any point if he needs to keep himself alive. Really nice Inferno Blade into Doom here, just a confident play onto the Ursa, taking him out once again. I don't know why this Ursa keeps getting caught or jumping or even playing near the Doom at all when he has Doom. It's definitely very risky, especially with Enrage on cooldown, but either way, he's off onto the Slaughter, and then it really just comes down to Inferno Blade doing heavy chunks of damage, right? Slaughter comes over here, Inferno Blade just doing 110 damage per tick, 57 just from the extra burn damage, and it's on such a low cooldown where you can even do way more. On top of that, how the Shard works is the base stun is 1.2, and if there are multiple of level 3, you get an extra stun duration and bonus damage. Unfortunately, Slaughter is not a multiple of 3. Yes, I do live in North America, so maybe my math is not the best, but in this case, I know that 20 is not a multiple of 3, so the Shard does not work. And finally, to finish off the game, he's going to go for an Octarine Core. He actually got an Ags from Roche this game. Of course, if the enemy team buys like 2 or 3 Lincolns, or if their most important hero buys the Lincolns, you pick up the Ags instead of Octarine with this build, and you just self-doom yourself and go on them. I mean, honestly, this is the reason why I don't get that more players aren't considering these aura-based builds. Even something like Greaves into Crimson, if the enemy team is all physical, or if they're all magical, Greaves into Pipe can just have so much damn impact on this hero. And as long as you start with that Midas, you can keep scaling, right? It's just about getting your team through that early game, where if you go something like a BKB rush on Doom, it's not that it's weak, but especially compared to Greaves, which has the incredible buildup of course, a mech. I mean, it's just mana boots into mech, of all things, right? Just two of the best items in the game right now. It has this incredible buildup, and it really just allows you to take advantage of the fact that Scorched Earth simply does 85 damage per second for 16 seconds. Right? Doom with an Ogre Axe does not have the same survivability and ability to use that Scorched Earth as a Doom going for Greaves, which is why I just feel like on average, honestly, this build is better. It scales a little worse in terms of slots, but even in the late game, right, having this Dispel, where you don't have to have your BKB forced, you can, if you get Ember Chains, you don't have to panic and pop your BKB, you can just casually pop the Greaves. That's so nice in the late game. So I'm a big proponent of this build. I think it's just so damn good, especially if the enemy team is physical, and if they're not, you could even consider something like Pipe. And honestly, there's a ton of builds I think people should be considering more on Doom. Even something like Vessel some games could have a lot of potential. Nonetheless, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.